Let's find out what did the pandemic mean for the more established bakers as most people turn to the oven for some comfort. Let's find out how the bigger players are doing. We have with us Kazem Samandari. He is the executive chairman of L'Opera. The brand started business as a bakery and pastry operation and then introduced the Salon de Thé, which are typical French-style tea rooms. L'Opera has 15 outlets in Delhi and one in Dehradun. Mr. Samandari, how has the pandemic affected your business?
Like any other business. It was very dramatic at the beginning, but luckily we started rebuilding the business and gradually we are going back to where we wanted to be. So yes, we have been affected in terms of personnel, we were affected in terms of regulations, in terms of lockdown, everything that you can imagine. However, we are proud that we have made quite some progress to come back to a normal situation.
That is good news. The fact is the pandemic has given rise to so many home bakers. Almost everybody is baking. Has that affected your business?
Not that we can measure it. In terms of operation, our delivery business compared to the pre-pandemic time, our home delivery and services has increased by a factor between 8 and 10. Depending on the day of the week. So the home bakers, that's wonderful if they can satisfy part of the demand, but it has not affected us. What has affected us is the willingness of our consumers to go and to have dining, because they are still skeptical, but this one is also coming back much faster than what we anticipated.
During this time, when people are spending a lot more time at home, have you expanded your menu and what have been some of the best sellers?
Well, we have adapted our menu to the requirements of home delivery. Our best sellers remain the same. It is in the pastries, we have a product, obviously the eclairs, which you mentioned, then we have a pastry, a very typical French pastry, a signature dish which is called opera. We have the millefeuille, which is this puff pastry with different layers and cream in between. So this is on the pastry side, and obviously our macaroons, which are unique in India. Then on the bread side, we have our sourdough breads, which are very, very popular. Then we have our Viennese with our croissants, our almond croissant, and a range of other products. What is also very interesting is our savory products are also very much appreciated. These are things that are like light meals that you can have both in the outlets and you can have them at home.
How have you been spending your time during this pandemic?
All right. As you can see, we belong, because of our age, my wife and I, we belong to the vulnerable category. So we spend a lot of time at home and we have minimized the number of times and the opportunities that we go out of home. But at home, we have a very strict program. I start my day every day, 6:15 in the morning, and I prepare breakfast, I go meditation, I do my daily exercise of 30 minutes, we have breakfast, and then we have the 8 to 10 hours of very, very hard work, followed in the evening by then some homework and also some leisure, if it's possible, to watch TV and some films.
So, Mr. Samandari, how did the pandemic affect your numbers? If you could share your pre-COVID revenue and your revenue for, let's say, August 2020.
Yes, you know, the revenue in our branch is very seasonal. So an absolute number is no help. But what I can tell you is that in the early stages of lockdown, our revenues went to zero. And then gradually we did home deliveries, we opened a few outlets. So in the month of July, our revenues were roughly 50% of the comparable period of last year. In the month of August, we have reached 60%. So compared the same month of last year compared to now, in the month of August, we are achieving 60% of our previous year's revenue.
That's fairly encouraging.
Yes, between us, absolutely, absolutely. But we are hopeful. We want to think that with the festive season coming and with Diwali, people will find some comfort in also having sweets, bakeries, pastry items, and hopefully we can then reach something like 90-95% of our pre-COVID revenues.
Before we end this interview, do share with us some tips you have for home bakers, since everybody is finding comfort in the oven at home.
Trust your instincts. Don't be afraid. Baking is something that everybody can do, and I wish everybody good luck. That their pastries and their breads will grow, and they will have no problem, and nothing will go wrong.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Samandari.
Thank you for having me.